What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I'm going to keep it real short and simple. I'm changing the springs, so it's a great DIY for anybody else who wants to do it, or if you just want to stick around and see how I do it myself. I bought some H&R springs here. I've got a pretty solid deal on them. I think they're like $300 or something like that. And supposedly it's going to be a little bit difficult to get these things out and put the new ones in, but when has that ever stopped me? So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back there and just get this guy up on ramps and or on jacks and start taking off the wheels. So let's just do it. All right, so I took the wheel off the back here first. The reason why is because I heard this is the hardest part. It's the most challenging. I don't know exactly why, but for some reason the fronts are a little bit easier. So I'll stick those last. But over here, it looks like I need to take off that front cover or that back cover and to access those 3 bolts on top. And a few more things here, but let's go ahead and start with that. All right, so it's actually been a while since I did this, but I believe the only thing that we have to take off is this piece here. That connects with that down here, and so we have to take this off as well. So I think you just pull it, something like that, and then I believe you just pull this one off as well. It's a little bit more difficult, but you pull that off, and you can access this cover. Maybe take this rubber off. All right. Now down here, there's a few clips, I think I remember. So I'm gonna grab my flat screwdriver. But you can see inside of there, there's a few clips and whatnot. So grab a flat screwdriver, yank it properly, and don't break any clips. All right, so never mind about taking a screwdriver or anything. All you have to do is literally yank it. There are a few clips here and there, but they shouldn't break. You kind of just yank them this way and it just goes. Obviously be a little courteous of it and whatnot, but after you do the other side, you can go ahead and take this off. This is gonna be basically just pulling, just like that. All right, and then that'll reveal this. You take off this foam. And there are 3 screws here, or bolts. 1, 2, and then third one back there. And then same thing on the other side. All right, so that's basically it for the inside. You can go ahead and actually close that for now, save a little bit of electricity. Oh, my rubber. Shucks, if you do this, make sure to put this rubber back, because if you don't, it's not gonna close. Little things you don't know. All right, so I'm back down here. I removed those plastics. Next thing is the calipers. I'm gonna move all these wires and whatnot kind of out of the way to get at the hub. So down here, I think it's a T55 and you got a 10 millimeter right over here. Take those off, move them to the side. And as soon as I'm done with that, I'll get back to you. All right, so I got the brake caliper off, kind of on the side here hanging. You don't really need anything to put in the bottom of it. It's actually better to just grab like a wire or something and just hook it up to something, anything really. I mean, if that works for you, then, you know, set it on top of something, doesn't matter. Anyways, I took a look here. It looks like the next thing we'll remove is this lower control arm and this sway bar link. That link actually hooks up sort of through it. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually take that off as well, and this guy too. So, all right, so it's actually been a couple of months since I'm finally editing this video, and I completely lost that footage that I was talking about, removing those 3 things. The thing that I do afterwards is take off the axle. Well, I talk about taking off the axle. It actually makes it a lot easier to take off the whole entire assembly. It just overall makes it easier. So anyways, I take off that axle with a big old nut, and then I grab a hammer and kind of hit it in. But careful, not just a hammer, but a piece of wood and whatnot. I actually think I explained that a little bit later. I have those videos. So anyways, enjoy the rest of it. Let me take those 3 things off and I'll get back. All right, so just as I suspected, it's actually much easier. Just grab a hammer like this, kind of put it inside of here, grab a bigger hammer and just smashed it in, and it's all loose now. So the next step is just trap those 3 bolts over there on the inside and just let this thing fall down. I don't want it to fall down though, because obviously this is all gonna crack if it does. So I'm gonna go ahead and call someone to help me out, put this thing down, and then I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. All right, so I actually took out those 3 bolts and I took it off all by myself. It's actually not too difficult. Just take out the 2 side ones. Here, I'll show you which ones. So take out these 2 and then grab your hand, put it right here, right on the axle, kind of this disc brake section. Take off this bolt and then slowly put it down. And that's it. The strut is out. So what I'm gonna do now is grab my tool, put these in together, remove this, and put the new one in. All right, so real quick before I start using these tools to compress this strut, I really don't know the alignment of this all. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab myself a marker and just mark it, kind of just make a mark right here. just go across the whole entire thing. I know it's a little bit excessive kind of on those sides, but I don't know, you just never know, you know, what has to go exactly where. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, I got this thing compressed. It's nice and loose now. You don't have to do it all the way, but just as long as it's a bit loose. Then grab a 21 socket and break this loose with an impact. That'll go, and as soon as that is, you can use a crescent wrench, or if you have a 21, especially if you have a crescent or a ratchet 21, it's great because you can put it in there and just go to town with it. But I just got this crescent wrench. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing done and then change the spring. All right, so check it out, guys. Got this thing off, got that spring off, put the new spring on. Go ahead and put this thing back on. Before I put it on, I just want to show you there's a washer in here, and you got that rubber piece, and you got this cap, and you have another washer, and then you have a bolt. So just want to go ahead and tell you guys how it all works. I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back together, and then I'll show you the end result. All right, guys, so I put the spring back on, and check it out. What's awesome about lowering springs is you don't even have to compress them. All you have to do is put the nut back on and just screw it in, and that's it. So obviously with the wrench and whatnot, but go ahead and screw it in and start putting it back in. All right, guys, finally got the whole entire thing assembled back together. Actually pretty simple. Probably took me roughly 15 minutes or so. So now that I know what this side is, that side should probably take me less time than that. I mean, 15 minutes just to assemble it. Probably another 20 minutes to take it apart. So, you know, in total, I'm not good at math, but 35, 45-ish minutes. Anyways, for this part, when you're putting this thing back in, the axle, make sure for the wheel that you take off the center hub thing, then put the wheel on. When you put the car back down, grab yourself one of these suckers right here and just torque that guy down to spec. But anyways, this side is done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and then as soon as it's all done, I'm gonna lower it and show you guys what that results look like. All right, real quick before I finish the back completely, one thing, you actually don't need to take off this bolt or this bolt in the back. All you have to take off is this one here, that one right there, and this one that connects to the cross link. I don't know what it's called. And then the hub, take that one out, and then the three up there, it'll fall down, you put it back up. That's it. You don't have to actually take this one off or the one behind it. So, and the other one I did, and this one you actually don't. Because we learned that we can just take that off much quicker that way. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to work. Okay, guys, real quick before I take this completely off, there's actually a sensor on this side, and it connected to the lower control arm by this plastic thing. All you have to do is grab a flat, kind of pry it up here. This will come off, and then a flat on the bottom, and the bottom piece will come off as well, and that's it. And guys, just to give you a little time reference, it's only been 15 minutes, and the whole thing is loose. I already got the 3 screws on top unscrewed, so all I have to do is drag it down, change the strut, or shock, put it back in. So anyways, sorry, that's a quick update. All right, guys, finally got the whole rear done except for the interior bits, but got this thing lowered, and check this out. Yeah, look at that. Can't even put 2 fingers in there anymore. Awesome. All right, on to the front. All right, I got the front wheel off, and here it is. I'm thinking of doing the same thing as I did on the other side, taking off the brake caliper and all these wires and whatnot. I see the wires kind of lead going through here and going across the back into here. So I'm thinking of taking off the stabilizer link first. So grab yourself a, I don't know what millimeter size that is, and take that off and yank it off, and then remove those, put it to the side. I'll do that and come back. All right, so I took off the brakes and that suspension piece here for the tie rod. Actually, it's very, very loose, and it's about to come out. But for it to come out fully, I'm gonna take off this bolt here and this one right here. That way I can just move the whole entire arm, and it'll just fall down. I don't wanna really touch the tie rod end, because first of all, this is the alignment bolt here for that. And also because these things are just super hard to take out. I don't know, every time that I have it, I just don't have that much luck. So I'm just gonna take those 2 out, see if I can just slide this thing out of the way, this thing falls. I'm gonna take those out and I'll get back. All right, so I took off that main bar at the back here. I don't know what it's called. And I got it very, very loose. The strut already came out quite the amount, but the strut's all the way down here still. So that means I gotta take off this tie rod end. I took off that bolt, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a hammer or something and just kind of hit it right here, and hopefully it makes everything loose and this thing jiggles out. I'll go ahead and try to hit it with a hammer or something else, and I'll tell you guys how I did it. All right, so just grabbed a hammer, tapped it really lightly right here, and that thing just fell off. The thing's not coming off for some reason. That's sharp. That's not a big deal. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna open up this hood or frunk or whatever the frick, and then what you have to do here is you have to take off that plastic in the front. That's actually pretty simple. It just comes right off. And there's these 3 here. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off right now and get the whole entire assembly out of here. So let me do that real quick. All right, so I just released those 3 and the whole entire thing just came out. And actually, this one slides off very, very easily. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that off real quick. Kind of like that. Set this to the side. And now, I'm gonna take this thing off, I think the same way as the other one, except for the issue now is this is inside. So I'm gonna have to grab a deep well ratchet. I think it's an 18 as well. And I'm gonna hold it with that as well. So I'll go get the tools real quick and show you how it's done. All right, so I got a few complications with the strut. Basically I tightened it up, not too much, but just enough so it's a little bit loose. The issue with this is it's a 21 millimeter. I was gonna use a tool like this, but it doesn't fit inside this hole. So what I'm doing instead is grabbing a 21 millimeter and an impact and just impacted it as much as I can. Oh, look at that. It actually came out without me needing to use that Allen wrench or anything. Sweet. Well, never mind then. No issues whatsoever. So I'm just go ahead and change the strut, put that one back in. All right, so I'm experiencing a problem again. This spring here is actually big as well, and I can't just put this cap over and nut it just like I did in the other one. So what I'm gonna have to do is grab this cap, put the cap back on, grab the strut, put it back on, grab myself a jack of some sort and pick it up so that this thing can go through it. And then on top of here, I'll go ahead and put the nut on. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and when it's all finished, I'll come back. All right, so basically this is my setup. I got one jack over here, kind of lowering the vehicle as much as I can. And then I got another jack here and just picking it up. I made sure to line everything with the marks that I made. And now I'll just pick it up, put it through that hole, and put the screw in. All right, so I got that screw in. I tightened it a little bit, and now I'm just gonna do it with the impact. Of course, it's gonna give me an issue. Hopefully, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. All right, now that it's down, hopefully it'll actually just catch on. Yep. All right, real quick before I put everything else back in, one tip that I'm gonna suggest you to do is put this boot up, hold it with your hand firmly, then grab your impact and just do it all the way. As soon as it's in, it's gonna go all the way to the top. You can look at the other one for reference, but as soon as it's in, it just won't go anymore. You'll feel it. So that's just a little tip. All right, guys, so I thought I was just gonna put the hub in. It didn't work like that. I actually had to take off the shock or the absorber, whatever, and install it kind of on its own separate place and then put it all in together. One thing that I would suggest you to do is have your bolts on the ready, like this one and that one, and then put them in, or just grab a piece of block or something like this, and keep it underneath the whole entire hub and rotor assembly, because it's just gonna try to fall down. Then afterwards, grab yourself a jack, put it underneath here, because this strut is still loose. So you got those bolts in. This bolt I'm about to put in, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it up, put that one in, then lower it back down, and screw this bolt back in. And that's it for the front installation. Actually much easier than that one, apart from this shock needing to be supported as well. I just don't have the right tools for that, but I did with what I had. So I'm gonna put this wheel back on, do the other side, and then show you guys the final result. Want to mention one more thing before I continue on this side. There are alignment bolts on top here as well. So grab a marker if you're trying to retain your own alignment marks, and just mark it kind of on that side as well. So I think that's alignment, and then you got the toe, or whatever you call it. Yeah, the toe in, toe out. So that and that. All right. All right, one more quick thing over here. When you're working on the driver's side, there's a sensor here. Basically take out that 10 millimeter in the back right here, and then this thing will lift up. Then there's also a piece of plastic here. There's a pin. Drive that pin out with something like this, kind of bring it down. That pin is right here. It'll just come drop on the floor, and you grab that plastic, remove it, then do the 10 millimeter, take that out, move this thing out, and then you can remove this bolt. So quick update. All right, one last update. So when taking off the strut, you actually don't need to take off this plate. All you have to do is take that bolt off, put your hand kind of on the bottom right here as you're holding it, and it'll just jump out. It's not gonna be the biggest jump, it's just a tiny one. So you won't ruin anything, just take it off of there, just that one nut, and that's it. So anyways, the rest of it is just like the other side. All right, I had to do one more quick update. Remember that when you're putting that bolt back in, this middle one, make sure to put the strut all the way down. That way there's pressure on top, where when you impact it, it actually keeps this middle bar stable. You can also put your fingers here just to give it a little more extra, you know, not safety, but stability. And then when you impact the thing, it'll actually impact. If you have the strut up, it won't work. It'll just keep on twisting on you. So, all right, last one. Alrighty, guys, finally lowered the car, brought it outside, and check this out. Beautiful. That sits nice and low now. This thing is looking good. Definitely better than stock. It's a little goofy right here, where you have the wheel well kind of off center on that one, but I mean, it is what it is. And over here as well. I was never really a fan of all this space, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, looks good. So definitely recommend this over the stock ones. So anyways, I'm not done yet. I mean, I'm done with the lowering part. So if that's all you're here for, that's how you do it. It's finished, and these are the results. The car looks amazing.